Eu estou aqui na Áustria, em Viena, participando do programa inovador da Ashoka, Ashoka Globalizer, com uma pessoa que, na minha opinião, um dos grandes gênios que hoje está vivendo no mundo, que é o Bill Drayton, que é o inventor e o grande disseminador do empreendedorismo social e fundador da Ashoka, que tem hoje mais de 2.500 fellows em mais de 70 países. Bill, you are an amazing person who create an amazing organization who modify and impact the life of millions of people. Did you have your aha moment, or what's your moment who you had insight to mobilize you for your purpose in your life?
Well, Rodrigo, I think it's very similar to your experience as it is for virtually all entrepreneurs. Very early, in my case in elementary school, very similar to you, I had the experience of being able to change my world, my class of 21 kids. We started a newspaper, which had to hand type with carbon paper. No one may remember what carbon paper is anymore, but there were no Xerox machines, there was none of that. And that grew and grew, and once you know that you can have an idea and bring some friends together and leave the place changed, that's very, very transformative. And that builds. You do it again and again, and every time you get better at it, the world gets better, bigger. And that's where virtually all the social and business entrepreneurs start. So one of the things we've learned at Ashoka from the 500 fellows out of roughly 3,000 who are focused on children and young people is that is the aha moment in their lives. And what we want to do is make sure that every young person has that aha moment. The younger the better. And then they get to practice it. They get to actually change the world when they're 11 and 15, to start a newspaper or a virtual radio station or a tutoring service, whatever. Their idea, their team, their impact. That's magical. If Brazil does that, it will have the largest proportion of change makers in the world, and that is the key to any country's future. And any country who doesn't do that is going to be a big loser because it won't have the population that's capable of contributing to change. And the key fact that we've got to face is that the rate of change is escalating literally exponentially. And in that world, every institution, every city, every country has got to focus on how do we make sure everyone is a change maker. Without reservations, everybody. And for that to happen, every young person has to have that early aha moment. Aha. I've had an idea, I built a team, it worked. There is a tutoring service, there is a newspaper in my school. There it is, it's functioning. Now, when you have that aha moment, you're a change maker for life, a contributor for life.
Excellent. But Bill, how did you get your inspiration to create Ashoka and invest and devote your life to promote Ashoka and the awareness about social entrepreneurs?
Well, ask yourself, what's the most powerful force in the world? It's pretty clear. It's a big systems or pattern change idea, but only if it's in the hands of a really good entrepreneur. It's that combination that changes the world. You look at any significant change, that's where it begins, in any field. And so, if you want to increase the rate of change, development, if you want to make the world a fairer place, you want to have more people with that ability. That's really the heart of what has to be done. And so what Ashoka does is try to find the best ideas in the hands of the best entrepreneurs and help them get started, help them succeed over their whole lives, build a community. And our community of leading social entrepreneurs is far more powerful than the sum of all the individual ones. To the degree that we can do that, that is multiplying the rate of change in the world. It's driving change-making deeper into the population. Now, why is that second point? Every social entrepreneur tries to encourage thousands of people and thousands of communities to stand up and say, Rodrigo has a really good idea. We need that in this community. We're going to make that happen. We're going to have a computer school here, and we are going to build it. Well, not only does Rodrigo get his school, but that community gets a group of people who have stood up, and they are local change makers. And they encourage other people to come and work with them, and their role models, and their family and their friends. So this is an incredibly powerful, not well understood, but core mechanism helping the world become a place where everyone is a change maker, which is the only way it can work. We will never overcome the rate at which problems are multiplying unless we multiply the number of change makers faster.
But did you had one moment in what was your moment to get the idea to found Ashoka? When was in your life? Was during your McKinsey career or was before?
Well, I think I understood how important social entrepreneurs were well before, because I am one. So I think that's a good category. But probably the single most important moment was when I was 19. I drove to India with 3 friends from college, and I've been active in the civil rights movement in the U.S., which is a Gandhian movement. And the power of India, its tolerance, its diversity, the change that people were introducing, the need, the 100 to 1 at that point difference in average per capita income. And so you have to say, now, what are we going to do to change this? And then you come back to that core question, what's the most powerful force in the world? A big idea in the hands of an entrepreneur. Well, if we're going to help India develop faster, the single thing you can do that will make the biggest difference is multiply the number of entrepreneurs, help more of them succeed, build a community, and make them part of a global community so that we help the rate of development speed up in the areas of social need. In the U.S., in Brazil, in Poland, in Thailand, we need this everywhere. The faster the world changes, the more you need it. And so it's an incredibly simple idea. It's probably, if you had to identify one time, it was the time in India.
Excellent. Last question. What's your advisory, your suggestion for people who had the aha moments, changing that aha moment in action, in reality?
Well, by far the biggest barrier that people face is that they haven't given themselves permission. Because everyone says, no, you can't do that. That's it. If you look at what the great social entrepreneurs do, it's not rocket science. But they gave themselves permission to see a problem. And then they gave themselves permission, okay, I can solve this problem. And then they just kept thinking about it and testing and refining and testing again. So almost everyone that we're talking with can do this. But almost everyone doesn't believe they can do this. So I think that's the biggest barrier. And you open that door, and a lot of things become possible. At every step you take down that path, which is true for everything else pretty much, you get better at it. And therefore it's more fun, and therefore, etc. It's a very virtuous circle. So that's a big barrier. And that's one of the things that we're really working on. if we can help the world see that it has to be a world where everyone is a change maker, and we help one another to make that jump, we'll get there. So, if you are the brother of a 15-year-old sister, or a parent of that young woman, you would know if she was failing at math and you'd do something. Would you notice if she was not practicing being a change maker? And would you know what to do? Well, most people wouldn't, because it's not part of the agenda. But it's so simple. Almost all teenagers, sooner or later, say, this is a mess, look at this stream. Oh, this is terrible, look at how these kids are being treated. And then you say to her, well, why don't you get some friends together and go and fix it? Oh, me? Yeah, you, why not? Now, if parents would do that consistently, and if friends would do that consistently, we would reverse the pattern of everyone saying, no, you can't do that. And furthermore, in having that conversation, if you were to tell that young woman, this is really important, and here's why it's important. If you're going to make a change 15 years from now, when you're 30, and making change is what the world is going to value more and more, you have to practice doing that now. Hey, it's fun, but it's a real risk for you if you don't. This is what growing up is about now. It's not just learning knowledge and rules. That's from the static world of the past. What you've really got to learn is how can you really contribute in a world defined by change. And you can't unless you've already done it. You can't learn this in theory. You've just got to be a change maker now.
So thank you, Bill Drayton, for your interview and your exemplarity and your inspiration.
You were, as you know, the inspiration.